Oh, that one? Oh,
Thanks.
that one?
With the camera. Yeah.
Well, no,
I'm
because I
like,
was
that
like,
poor cat. Look at him.
I don't know what I was thinking, but I was like, you know what would be so fun? Do you know what would be so fun right now? And then I had the idea to do it, and I did, and I love him so much.
There
I
we
love
are.
my cat. He's all cute tooty.
Here's Binks going, what the fuck are you doing to me today?
Literally, honestly, the amount of times he and I both play that game with each other, I'm like, oh, my little pussy.
No.
Anyways, welcome back to this episode of Paranormal Misfits podcast.
Right?
It's
Hi,
been
guys.
a week for y'all.
For you.
For us, 15
for you,
minutes.
A week. For us, a potty break. Okay, sorry. I thought there was something in my nail. Nope, there is. It's on the wrong side. Okay. Hi. So, welcome to the Paranormal Misfits podcast. So this podcast is part of the You Run Podcast Network, where you can find all sorts of fun and exciting podcasts just like ours. You can check them out in the show notes.
Hey, what?
Hey,
what's happening?
Not snow notes. Show notes. Yeah, so do that. Anyways, welcome to the Paranormal Misfits podcast, where the curious roam, the weird feels at home, and horror is just another day in the office. I am one half of this dazzling duo, Chrissy.
Hey, everyone. Everybody for a good time, call Nino Daniel. That was my terrible impression of a Bosnian accent, even though I'm Bosnian. But hi, welcome back to Paranormal Misfits podcast. Once again, I don't do fractions very well, but I know I'm a quarter of the way tired. I think we had made mention last week about what today is going to be about, so this is going to be exciting. I do also want to just bring everyone's attention to the show notes, not the snow notes.
The show notes.
But yeah, purchase the merch if you feel inclined. That costs money. You know what doesn't cost money? Leaving us a 5-star review.
Mm-hmm.
Subscribing, following us, not to our house, but on socials.
I dig it.
Chrissy, what are we gonna talk about today?
It's funny you should say that. We talked about it briefly. The Ouija board.
Ooh-wee.
So I thought that was really interesting. So the Ouija board, mind you, is just one part of under spiritualism that is considered automatic writing when making connections to the spirit world, because it's an automatic thing.
Okay.
That spells out words.
Spells.
However, the Ouija board itself, if anyone is a big fan of The Exorcism, the movie, that was also a book, there is a true life event that dealt with said exorcism. It wasn't with a girl named Riley, it was with a boy who used a Ouija board in the 1940s. I would cover that later. Maybe this might be a two-parter. I don't know yet. I haven't decided. Not back to back, but
I was like,
okay,
do you want me to be here for another
episode? No. Anyways, so Ouija board is known in different ways, right? Ouija board, as we all know from, who was it? Parker Brothers? Mattel? Hasbro. I don't know. It's jumped a lot of companies. Spirit board, talking board, or witch board. So, in a sense, anyone can actually make a Ouija board. All you need is just a flat surface, writing out, the letters, numbers, yes, no, hi, goodbye. And then you just need a planchette, which you don't really need the little wooden planchette. You just need a glass, because essentially that's what they're saying is useful for it, is the glass that's in the planchette itself. Okay.
Planchette.
Yeah. So back in the late 19th century, so the 1800s-ish era, when everyone was bored around their fireplaces because they were tired of talking and
TikTok wasn't
gossiping.
invented yet.
TikTok wasn't there. Everybody wasn't doom scrolling somewhere. Social media was not its thing. This was considered a parlor game. Yeah. The Victorian era was a wild, wild era. I have a whole book on how they basically invented murder, like the sensationalization of murder, because that's essentially like Jack the Ripper era. You got H.H. Holmes era.
Maybe that's
it's
why
all
that
of
era has a lot of secrets. Get it? Because Victoria.
Okay.
Oh
Anyway, sorry.
God.
All right. So spiritualists believe they could contact the dead using the Ouija board, right? Usually you have a medium who's part of this Ouija seance. And they would use the talking board.
What if they were a large?
Well, then I guess that's how it happens.
Wait, keep talking. I have a hangnail. Go ahead.
All right. So the modern Ouija board, spiritualists would use it at their camps during the 1886 with the intent of enabling faster communication with the spirits. So, funny thing about this, Ouija boards really gained a lot of popularity post-Civil War.
Okay.
Because those who lost their brothers, their fathers, their uncles, their cousins in the Civil War wanted to communicate with them. We're just going to leave that there because, I don't know. It was wild, like I said. So it was patented by Elijah Bond in 1891.
Okay.
And in order to get his patent, you had to go in front of, it was some sort of professional. And
Zach
because they
Bagans.
called it a talking board that could communicate with spirits, the person who was going to be signing off that you can patent this was like, prove it. So Elijah Bond brought a medium with him and had a seance conducted essentially in front of him to prove the validity of the talking board. So it was once regarded as an innocent parlor game and unrelated to the occult until an American spiritualist named Pearl Kernan popularized its use as a divining tool during World War I. So early 1900s. So there's a couple of things, right? Pseudoscience, it's considered pseudoscience. The scientific community does not see it as a means of communicating with the dead. They don't think the dead's coming through. They think it's more of a mind trick. Paranormal and supernatural beliefs do happen with it. Mainstream Christian denominations, including Catholicism, have warned against using the Ouija board, considering their use of satanic practices with other religious groups that believe that they can lead to demonic possession. On the other hand, occultists are divided between the issue, some claiming it can be a tool for positive transformation, while others may reiterate the warnings that many Christians and caution inexperienced users against it.
So, like, there was no warning sign during the parlor game era of this fucking...
No, they were...
They said free texts!
Victorians were wild. You got to think about it, like Charles Dickens time period. We're talking 3 ghosts haunting a rich man because he's not doing right by his community. Stuff like that. They loved that stuff. Paranormal was huge back then. So it's popular belief that the word Ouija comes from the French word for yes and then the German word for yes. But some say it's a misconception. Other people say that the Ouija board named itself because a medium, Helen Peters Nosworthy, asked the board to name itself, essentially. And when asked what the word meant, it responded with, "Good luck." I don't know if it was as a joke or what.
But isn't there, like, a good luck on the Ouija board? Or is it goodbye?
It's goodbye. I don't think it's good luck.
Yeah, I don't really need good luck for...
So here's the thing about the Ouija board, right? It was originally patented as a parlor game starting in the late 1800s. 1891, right? It was originally patented. But automatic writing has been around for years, dating all the way back to 1100 AD in China. Because spiritualism, they do use different ways of necromancy to communicate with the spiritual realm. Right? So like I said, during the American Civil War, that's when mediums actually did a lot of business because of the contacting of the dead with the talking board. So this would allow survivors to contact lost relatives.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, me sounding shocked does the same thing.
I mean, whatever.
I gotta text my grandma and be like, how you doing, girl?
Excuse me, what is that seasoning we used?
No, literally, how do you make baklava?
Yeah. How do you do this? So the Ouija board is, like I said, you can make one. You can take a piece of paper. It's like this rite of passage for high schoolers. I never did it. I was the rite of passage of the craft stuff, not the Ouijas. And I don't know why. I never really got into the Ouija board, essentially. So it was said that it was first manufactured in 1890. So it did jump a few manufacturers, right? So it started with the man who patented it, and then it was bought off by, oh, what was his name? Shoot, what was his name? I don't know. It was bought off by another guy. Oddly enough, he died in his manufacturing facility.
Ask the Ouija board how.
That's the Ouija board how. So there's that. There's the... I think my issue and why I never got into the Ouija board is because I don't actually believe its validity, right?
You don't believe it's real?
So it's a toss-up for me, right? Because, like, people play tricks on people. That's just me, right? You get too many people involved, too many people might know some backstory on you, they're gonna be like, haha, watch this bitch, right? But I can see it and I can't see it because I do believe in automatic writing, right? You know, where you get a medium. Some automatic writing deals with using your non-dominant hand and letting your hand kind of guide itself, draw, write, whatever. I don't know. I have a hard time with the Ouija board. I just do. I don't know why. Same for crystal balls. I have a hard time with those too.
At least they're not blue.
Those are telling a very populated future. No.
Those are telling a different story.
So anyways, we have this, and oddly enough, the original patent for the Ouija board expired. And it was launched as a swastika novelty company.
Whoa, let's not.
Yeah. So that's all I'm getting into as far as that portion of its history. That's it. Just know
that's it. We're stopping there.
We're coming back. So then it got really, really popular again in 1920. And they were, mass making it. The way they originally marketed this was one guy, one girl. Have it because it says it only requires 2 people, not 3.
Okay.
So it'd be a guy and a girl is like a fun date night. I don't know why that sounds like a fun date night. Like,
at the time of this recording, the movie Heart Eyes came out, and I just want to let you guys know, date nights look a little different now.
I mean, I don't. So every time. I can't.
I'm gonna need you to pull it together.
I am trying to pull it together. So every time there's a war, right, this gains a lot of popularity. And then it gets really popular within the 70s to 80s. Only this time, when it gets really popular during this time period, it takes that demonic, that satanic panic on. Because 1949, there is, if everybody knows, you have the famous movie, The Exorcist, that came from a book that was written loosely based off of a true story.
Loosely.
A little 13-year-old boy needed to have an exorcism done because he was playing with a Ouija board. And allegedly got possessed, and there needed to be an exorcism done. There's a lot of back and forth on that one, but that's where the exorcism comes in. That's where the churches really latch onto that satanic panic, is because that happened, and then it was made mainstream. So then if you watch the commercialization of the Ouija board, it takes a darker turn. Instead of it being like this fun, like, hey, guy, girl, get to know each other, use the Ouija board. I don't know why you use the Ouija board to get to know each other. I
Why
still
would
don't
you
get that
do
one.
that in
I don't know.
America?
But now it's basically, hey, now let's see if you can communicate with the spirit world for a fun Halloween night kind of thing.
Hey guys, if you're bored from eating candy.
So the Parker brothers did buy it out in 1966, and they continued the tradition of leaving ghosts out of their advertising, but they do kind of bring it in because they'll use like the darker color schemes. They'll use like, hey, look at this, do this late at night. Like, what the fuck? And then not to mention, if you think about Ouija boards, they're so commercialized now that like people have tried to make their own and sell them. People have tried, like, you get different versions of a Ouija board now, like themed ones, like Stranger Things has one. Kind of like how Monopoly has different versions of TV shows and movies.
I'm waiting for my Lisa Frank Ouija board.
I mean, if you need it. Okay, so the year that Parker Brothers bought the Ouija, it was so widely adored that it outsold Monopoly. So they bought it in 1966. Parker Brothers take it on. It outsells Monopoly, which good because that causes so much fucking chaos in one solid day. Like, I'm gonna stop the capitalism. Let's go talk to ghosts. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time with this one. Okay, anyways, but 5 years later, that's when it takes its darker turn. So 1971 is when the movie The Exorcist comes out. And then that's when everyone's like, oh no Ouija boards. That's why everyone stores them up in a closet far, far away now, as opposed to like parlor games where they just bring it out from like their little area. Because most people kind of hide the Ouija boards. Yours is in a closet, right? Up in a corner, probably.
Somewhere.
Some people, stuff it down into like trunks and stuff.
But why not toss it out though?
So I think that's funny because I remember like the Ouija boards gained a lot of popularity again, right? Like people are talking about it, using it. And the movies. The 2015, 2016? The first Ouija movie.
Yeah, something around there. Let me look it up.
I think it's interesting because like people show they try and burn it and then they can't burn it. Which I think is the 2014, okay. Which I think is interesting about Ouija boards because like what are they made of? Are they wood? Was yours wood? Or is it just like the board like
the board material?
Like Monopolies.
Yeah.
So you should be able to burn it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do I want to burn it though?
Do you want to take that? You want to take that chance?
Because like I feel like if I do, and then it comes back, the way that I would levitate to Jesus.
Hey, bud, please help me.
Hey, jeez.
Hey. So yeah, so that's it's all the interesting thing about Ouija boards is the satanic panic actually didn't come on until the 70s. It's associated with evil. Comes from that. Some people said, especially because parlor games, parlor tricks, scientists don't believe the validity of the board because someone could have put like a little metal piece in the planchette and have like a magnet underneath and no one would see you moving it around, but people would think it's moving around. I remember some of the paranormal investigators I've watched recently, Mr. Badaggins.
I was gonna say your best friend,
my best friend.
Baggins.
So oddly enough, the house where the Exorcist, true story of the Exorcist happened. The house is still up, and they decided to. I don't know why you do this. Like They brought the Ouija board into the room where the little boy had did it and was like trying to contact. Now I have issues with that because I'm just like, so you're going to increase the
like satanic demonic presence. We're just gonna
yeah, like and they did it there. They did it at one more spot. I don't remember where it was, but then the Ghost Brothers did it in an Odd Brothers house. Odd Fellows house. There was a group way back when called the Odd Fellows. So I always think it's interesting when they bring those out because sometimes people will use them as a form of like when they're paranormal investigating. Which means, I mean, it's no different than whenever they use like their phones with the little ghost apps that like, hey, here's some words coming through, right? But like again, for the scientific portion and like the community to actually believe it, they don't. They think it's more of someone's mind playing tricks on them because essentially you can't gauge how heavy someone is putting their fingertips on and who's actually making it move. Because I don't know.
It takes two to tango.
It does take two to tango.
And it also takes two to Ouija. So.
It does take two to Ouija. You're right. I mean, it's just, I don't know. We'll come back. Let's go on a break. Do you have anything to say for that?
Just make sure that you guys are purchasing the merchandising, and if you don't, I'm sending Laurana after you. But in this economy, I'm probably not gonna, because she's probably gonna charge us a fee. But we are gonna take a quick break. Make sure to look at the show notes, subscribe, follow, not to our houses, but on social media. And we will be right back, which is Transylvanian for "we're coming right back."
Duh. Hello.
What's up, cool kids? This is Tasha here with my trusty sidekick, Journey the Horror Dog, who will inevitably whine in the background of every single episode of our new podcast, The Ghoulish Gallery. I'm just here to give you an idea of what's coming up. Each week, I'm going to have a guest on to give us the scoop on their local lore, urban legends, cryptids or monsters, creepy places, all that good stuff that we love. Fortunately for all of us, there are a whole lot of badass horror people out there willing to educate us on the spooks and other things lurking in the dark in their neck of the woods. If you're interested in being a guest, hit me up on Twitter at TMR_8706 or Ghoulish Gal Pod. It's going to be Ghoulish, GALPOD. I'll be happy to put you on the list. Hit me up.
Now, just as a reminder, this is part of the You Run Podcast Network, where you can find other awesome and amazing podcasts just like this. And also, Ghoulish Gallery is currently on a season break and will return within due time. Make sure you check out her other episodes on Spotify, Apple, and all other sorts of streaming platforms. Hello.
And we're back. Hello, governor.
So anyways, that's like the very brief story of the Ouija board. I don't know how I feel about it. I know about Victorian time period and how bored they were, but how much they were like really into spiritualism. Like it started to take like a really big tick. And like everyone's like, I want to communicate with the dead. I don't know. You've played. I mean, you've
Mhm.
used one. How do
A
you
couple
feel about
times, yeah.
them?
I have. I mean, what the hell?
What'd you do? There you are.
Hello, Peter. Okay.
Hi.
Sorry
Your
about.
Ouija board said, "Don't tell any secrets, bitch."
No, literally, I literally was like, I moved my hand off of my keyboard and my Ouija board. I mean, not my Ouija board. Oh my fucking gosh. I hate it here, Peter.
I hate it
Um,
here.
I definitely think that, I mean, there's got to be something associated with it, right? Like,
I mean, if you're a spiritually inclined person, you do believe in the different ways of using different ways to talk with the dead, necromancy. I don't see where talking boards aren't a thing. Because you have automatic writing, it's just a different form.
sure.
I
They're. You've never used one?
No.
Don't. Like, truly, 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 truly don't.
Yeah. I don't really have the inkling to. I love tarot and I love oracle cards too much, I think.
Sure.
And I like the little I have pendulums.
I have a couple.
I love
pendulums.
those. I
So-
find like the pretty stone ones and I'm like, I like
Yeah.
those.
You would love, like, whenever you get a chance to come to visit, and / you and I need to meet each other at some point.
Right.
By the way, guys, co-host on season 2, haven't met in person yet.
That's right.
We're gonna fix that.
We're trying.
Maybe
We are
one
definitely
day,
doing it.
maybe one day I just randomly show up to your house.
There you go. I
Maybe
mean,
one day I'm just like,
I don't know.
Ray, clear her schedule. Clear. Really quick though, I want to mention this, that people have always said that it's not the most trustworthy thing to do Ouija board activities, because you are opening a portal to any entity, not just the one you're trying to call out.
Right. Like, and if you ever notice, like I've noticed this in a few horror movies, there was one that it was like the girl in Spain, I believe, like Madrid, she was a schoolgirl. Veronica, I think was her name.
Yeah, that was the name of the movie.
Yeah. And they were using spirit board down in why the fuck you would go into the boiler room of your school? But she used and they used the Ouija board and she happened to be the one to get. But they also say possessions happen when you are in your most vulnerable. So like, to make it a parlor game, this is where I get kind of like funky about it, right? Because seances have a very particular setup. You got to have your candles. Everybody's got to be sitting in a circle. Hands got to be together. And the thing about Ouija boards is, like, when someone freaks out and they're like, I'm done, like, they're immediately breaking whatever bond was created. And you can't just, like, put the hand back down and be like, just kidding, bitches. Like, nah, bitch, you broke it. Like, it reminds me of, did you watch Host? It was a 2020 pandemic movie where they were doing a seance virtually. It was like under an hour.
No thanks.
It was like found footagey. I loved it.
Oh, found footage.
I love found footage.
How they never went through that fucking exit door in Heretics, I'll never understand. Jose, I have so many questions for you.
I know.
Anyways, Host. Ouija. Virtual.
Ouija's.
What happened?
Yeah. I mean, essentially, like, so what happens is a whole bunch of friends, they're in the pandemic, right? And this was made during the pandemic. They actually filmed this on a Zoom.
He said autobiography.
Right? So the premise is this girl sets up, they have a medium come in. She's trying to explain to them, like, the process and everything. And one of the girls does not take it seriously. And she makes up that a spirit is communicating with her. Which then, according to the medium, allows for tricksters to come through. And you don't actually know who you're communicating with. You don't know what you invited. And that's kind of the same thing with Ouija boards.
Yeah.
Because you don't know who's there.
No.
You don't know who's coming through. And you don't know who's playing a game. Because if you play the game right? Like you it's the fuck around, find out game. I'm bored, so I'm gonna make this happen and make everyone believe me. That's what happened in the game, in the movie The Host. Is the girl was really, I mean, like really convincing about who was coming through and talking to her, not the medium, but one of the friends. And then stuff starts happening. Chairs, like one of the girls flies all the way back in her chair, and she didn't even push her chair. It doesn't even have wheels on it. It was like a kitchen chair. What is it? The cameras kept going out. It would loop a girl's screensaver she had. It would loop it to make it look like she was there. And they're all getting offed by a demon they can't see. Because the girl essentially invited something in by lying about what was happening, who was talking through. So they couldn't ask it to leave, which is essentially what you do for seances. You ask the spirit to leave. The portal is closed. No more communication. You must fucking leave this bitch.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't do anything because the girl lied, so she doesn't even know what she invited. So everybody's getting fucked.
You gotta be careful because some demons don't want to leave.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I won't say the name of it, but it is a Ghost Adventures episode before Nick Groff abruptly leaves the show. And it's at a house. It's at a person's house. And once again, it deals with stupid fucking Ouija boards. I was messing with the Ouija board and it spelled out its... Why were you asking? Why were you asking?
What was it? Never mind.
No,
Okay.
No.
Okay. Mission understood.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like people fuck around too much, and then I think
and
that's
then they
the other
find
part.
out.
Yeah, I think that's the other part is like I don't want to test my limit. So I think that's another reason why I don't mess with them. I mean, Ray doesn't even let them in the house. Like I'll crack a joke, like there will be a cute like lounge fly bag of like a Ouija board, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna buy this, and he's like, no, the fuck you're not. I was like, you're right, I'm not. But yeah. I mean, essentially, like from the Ouija movies, if you put the planchette up to your eye and look through the glass, you may be able to see what's there.
Hell no. No.
But again, these aren't in. I don't think these are instructions in the board.
I think
in the board game.
People are just like, you know what? It's gonna be a choose your own adventure.
But you know what I mean, though, is that like Parker? Are those instructions in the Parker game? Like I've never picked one
I'm
up
not
to
breaking
look.
mine out.
You're like, no, bitch, I see what you're doing.
Not me, not Hermione, you.
I just like, I don't know. I mean, there was it a movie? There is a Ouija board museum, by the way, guys, so you can go.
Ooh.
Doesn't that sound exciting?
What is the exact address so I know what to avoid?
I don't know. I gotta go Google it. I'm not gonna Google it. Y'all can find it on your own.
I'm not even putting that shit on my phone like that.
I'm not doing that. So did you ever have friends who did makeshift? I've had friends who made the makeshift.
We've had makeshift ones.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What'd you make them out of?
Paper.
Like just paper? Cardboard?
Printer paper.
Oh, yeah.
And then we didn't have like a proper like glass planchette. We would just use like thicker cardstock paper for the planchette itself, but there would be no glass.
Yeah.
And then like it was easy to move because again you've got very light printer paper as the base, and then your planchette is a little heavier. And when there's like so much air between the two, it can move easier. And I'm like, if someone just went gone, everything, all of us demons. Demons. So one thing about me though, I pray to Jesus. Go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say, so
what you doing?
I was looking real quick. So if anyone wants to know the case that you're looking for when it comes to what the exorcism is about, he goes, called by two names, either Ronald Doe or Robbie Mannheim.
Okay.
But he was the 14-year-old boy said to be the victim of a demonic possession, and the events that were recorded by the attending priest Raymond J. Bishop. And then this, the supernatural claims surrounding the events is what the Exorcist novel was about, and then also the movie. And from my understanding about the little boy, he was staying, I think, at his aunt's house. And he was fucking around and finding out. Oh, his aunt, who was a spiritualist. Great family. Introduced said little Ronnie to the board.
Ronnie, you should have been McDonalding at that point. Jesus,
Shit.
Ronnie.
And he was German Lutheran. 1940s, yep.
Damn. German Luth.
Yep. The fucking wild. And the thing is that, like, the word, apparently whenever he was using it, the word Lewis came up, and they thought it was, like, Lewis, Missouri. So, like, then he kept trying to talk and talk and talk and talk to it. Like, that's just it. It's one of those things where people are like, oh my God, I gotta know more. And it's like, okay, cool.
Don't.
Like, so when you guys were, I'm so interested in this.
Ask.
Guys, if you have Ouija board experiences you want to share, please let me know.
Them, but also don't fucking get too fucking detailed and bring some shit over into our house that doesn't a liar on after me.
Facts. I will not be saying certain names. Like if you said you found out it was a demon name, we're just gonna say, hey, they found a demon, and I'm not saying the name.
Maybe we should say entity name, because we've been saying the word demon 712,000 times. I'm gonna change it to, you do whatever you want, freedom of speech, your body, your choice. I'm gonna change it to entity name.
Entities?
Because that
spirit.
Spirit names.
I mean, it's a spirit talking board, so we're just gonna call it a spirit.
Spirit, yeah.
Also, what prompts you guys to play with these things? Is it out of just
boredom.
sheer like
boredom and curiosity? That's how we started, because when going back to my friend Michelle, she was very like, I got this. First of all, how did I go from British and she went to Southern? She was just like, yeah, I have this thing called sorry, she said, I have this thing called the Ouija board. And I was like, oh. We started playing it, and then it just started getting popular. Like, I remember people would bring it to school.
I heard that.
People would bring, because you can, the thing is like the Ouija board game is kind of big because it doesn't collapse on itself. It has to be a flat board. It's not like the Monopoly game where you can like, where it goes from a bigger square and then it folds into a smaller one. It's literally a perfect rectangle. Because like you can't have any like fold breaks and you're trying to get to a letter or some shit. Yeah, but people like bring it to school. And I went to school in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I was like, well, damn, versatility is insane. I mean, it's easier to get drugs than it is to get a pencil, and then there's people who are like, fuck drugs, fuck pencils. I'm calling on spirits. And none of them were cheerleaders.
None of them. None of them.
None of them.
I mean, I don't. So I always wondered, do you think this? Anything that kind of resembles that of a Ouija, right? So we're talking purses, we're talking wallets, we're talking just earrings.
I have a candle.
You have a candle?
I have a Ouija candle.
Well, I mean, it's not flat though. So like, I'm thinking in the sense of like a purse, like you could lay it flat. Normally they're rectangular.
Oh, and you mean like have like a secondary purpose.
Like an accidental secondary purpose.
I wouldn't fuck with that shit though, because that's just I mean, it says the guy who has a Ouija board and a Ouija board black candle in his closet.
I mean, it's in the closet though. You're not like actively coming out and being like, "Hey, today we're gonna contact."
Could you imagine if I went back in and like grabbed that shit? I'm like, listen, I'm gay, not dumb. Alright.
I know. I just like, I don't. What do you think?
It was intense. Like there are moments where now I remember when I got my friend's mom no, this is a different thing. But like sometimes it's just fun. I've played it with my sister before. You know, it's like it's fun. I'm like, nothing's gonna happen. And now that I know like the spirituality behind life and all of those things, and now I know like what types of things exist out in the world and what types of you know, I'm like, nah, maybe I shouldn't talk about that. The only way I'm going to call upon a spirit is the spirit of Christ when I read the Bible.
I mean, I still have a really hard time with, I don't know why I have the hardest time believing that particular sense of like automatic writing.
I don't know. There has to be like some form of maybe connection to the subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there's things that we do, we as in like me when I was an active participator of Ouija boards. Maybe there's just answers that we want. Maybe
Yeah.
there's questions. Maybe there's questions that we have. Maybe there's answers that we already have as well,
Mhm.
and we just kind of suggest these
It to
letters in a
yourself.
certain pattern or something like that. Maybe
Mhm.
that to me is like the logical brain talking, because I'm like, if this is like, and I know some elements of it are real, but like if this Ouija shit is like really real, and you all be opening portals and shit.
So
Don't
like
they?
I'm going back based off of like movies that I've watched, right? So like I did watch the Ouija board movies.
Okay.
They always did them like in circles. Like to start it off, did you guys do it like 3 times in a circle
So
and then
what we would do, first thing I remember doing, if we were to set it on a table, we would wipe the table down.
Mhm.
And then when we set the Ouija board down, we would take like just like a paper towel or something and just like wipe it down and wipe down the planchette so it was clean.
Yeah.
So that way we get rid of interruptions. And then I remember we would kind of do like a circle.
Mhm.
Like we would do one circle. And then we would go into like asking questions in the second and third circle.
Oh.
And then that's when you just kind of were like, oh my, because I remember like, I was like, I'm not moving this. That's the one thing about me is like, I have no reason to lie with this. I would
Mhm.
never actively push the planchette.
Right.
Because the rule is it's 2 fingers or
Mhm.
something like that. It's 2 fingers, no more than 2. Well,
Right.
minimum 2, because you can't just have one, because then at that point you are kind of pushing it. 2 fingers lightly, like gingerly, borderline hovering almost.
Right.
And then I would just think to myself, like, I know, and God knows I'm not moving this.
Right. Okay. Like I always wondered that because like when you watch the Ouija board movies, they're like, "Oh, you got to do it this way," and then you have to make sure you put it on goodbye to let
You
them know
have
that like
to.
this ends. And
Yeah, I would sometimes like we would get so intense. Like I remember, with my friend Michelle, things would get intense, and I'm like,
Mhm.
hey, I would literally just be like, cool, we're just gonna go ahead and wrap this up. You have to be like, whatever we speak to it very kindly.
Yeah.
We're like, you know what? We're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Goodbye. Like, we were intentional. We were like, goodbye.
Mhm.
And then within like a couple seconds, goodbye. But the thing with goodbye, though, that we would do is we would ensure that the planchette hovered on goodbye and then went off the board.
Oh. Like to close the door.
To really, not just like
Yeah.
goodbye.
Yeah. See you
It
later.
was like goodbye. And what's
Okay.
crazy is like it worked. Like the
Hmm.
planchette, even if like the glass part or like the auricular whatever part
Mhm.
of the thing. Sorry, that's a word. Just so long as that went off the board, we were fine.
Okay.
And then once again, we would clean the planchette, clean the board, and so we would reverse order clean it. Clean the planchette, clean the board, clean the table, and then remove the cloth. And then if we had a cloth on the board, it would get washed.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Did y'all clean yourselves?
Oh, 100%. Like 100%. I clean myself with prayer.
Yeah.
I'm like, God, do your thing. Don't let me die.
Don't let me die.
Do your thing, Jesus.
Do
Because
your
listen,
thing.
you know
Did
what?
you just break your chair?
So yeah, Ouija boards are weird. Do you know what I mean?
Ouija,
like,
yeah. I think it's just like I don't have that need to know, I think, is my issue.
You don't need to know.
I don't need to know.
This was a good one. This brought me back to different memories that were so locked away I did not know.
That's as much detail as y'all are gonna get, though, guys.
That's it. Notice. That's
Don't ask for any more.
Yeah, please don't ask me for anything. Like, I'm broke with the check engine light on. Like, please don't ask me for shit. I hope at this point my check engine light's off whenever this episode comes out. In a month and a half.
We're still here, guys.
We're still here. Today is premiere day.
Premiere day.
For us, it's premiere day. For you guys, premiere day was months ago. This is what, episode 8, technically 9?
It's exactly a month ago. For them, it would be exactly a month ago because today's the 8th.
Well, remember we skipped.
Oh, yeah. We're skipping. Wait, I don't know. I'd have to look at what
episode is this one?
This would be 5, 4, 6. This would be 8. You're right. Episode 8.
Yeah, so we are exactly a quarter of the way done with season 2.
Woot woot.
1, 2, 3. No. We skipped the 25th, right?
We did. That's why we're doing double today.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep.
This is getting cut out.
Oh.
Us counting this.
Yeah. Not us counting our episodes.
Well,
on that topic, thank you all so much for joining us on this lovely adventure. Just going
if you have any experiences or if you have a certain thought process on Ouija boards, feel free to share.
If I can also make a recommendation, if you guys share anything to social media after listening, post a video on social media and tag us.
Yes.
That would be so cool to see.
It would.
So.
It would. I appreciate all the comments and everything and everybody sending DMs, but I want to see you guys make a video,
tag us, and make sure to tag Paranormal Misfits Podcast and official Nino Daniel.
Yes.
Please and thank you. Chrissy, any shout outs?
I'm going to shout out my husband because he's been entertaining the boys by playing a video game while my daughter walks laps around our backyard. Get her steps in, boo-boo.
Get your steps in. Love that. I'm going to shout out Jesus, Lord and Savior. Thank you for protecting me during those
trying times.
Ouija moments. And let's see. Shouted out a bunch of people last episode. Shout out to my husband. Shout out to, here's a new one. Shout out to my friend Jasmine that I met in college and that I think about often, and that we connect over social media from time to time. So.
Yay.
But make sure you all are checking the show notes, purchasing the merchandising if you're able to. Make sure to, give us that free support by a 5-star review. Subscribe, it's free. Follow, it's free.
Yes.
And then if you have abilities to also know of a brand or business that could utilize Paranormal Misfits Podcast in podcast advertising, click the show notes, get in touch with me. We'll hook you up with some stuff. And other than that, we will see you next week on another episode where we talk about, I don't even know if we're going to fucking
we don't know what
about.
we're talking about yet. We're still planning that.
We're still planning that. We're also in February 8th, and this episode's coming out in April? Literally. So. Maybe April, I don't know. Post Ramadan.
That.
But I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for tuning in with us and letting us fill your ears and your cars and your homes. And okay, that's sounding creepy. But we know you don't have to leave. So if you are gonna go, which you have to, that's crazy, bitch. You gotta go. And I know you don't want to, but since you have to, you might as well creep out. Bye.
Bye.